Another automatic knife review coming at you from Nut and Fancy. This one's kind of special. This is a Robbie Dalton Militia Recon 2 Limited and OD handle. And as far as I know, that's the only handle color I've seen in it. There might be some others. I am not the expert on Robbie Dalton. I do know he makes a very limited number of models per year, 10 to 15. Thank you, PVK.com, for that information. And of those models, only about 500 are produced. And that makes each model that Robbie Dalton makes very limited. And then he never reproduces them. Once they're gone forever. Therefore, this Militia Recon is going to just increase in value as time goes on, assuming I take care of it, which I can pretty much guarantee you I will, unless for some unforeseen reason I really have to put it in roll. By the way, when I speak in roll, what's that mean? That means this is a full-on fighting knife, pretty much. This is an automatic tactical knife, so that's a category I'm going to put it in. It's designed to save your life, whether in an offensive role, defensive role, depending on who you are and what your job in life is. Could be a troop over there in Afghanistan, Iraq, could be a police officer, or maybe a licensed civilian where it's legal for you to carry a knife like this in your locality. Don't know, that's up to you to determine. However, this is a knife that for me satisfies the two kinds of cool. First off, it has a lot of performance from what I can tell about it. Secondly, it has a lot of enjoyment for me, the owner, because again, it's collectible and it's just cool in its execution and function. I dig it. Let's talk about the specifics on it, and then I'm going to kind of concentrate first on the performance side of the equation. Then I'll show you some alternatives to the Militia Recon, at least performance-wise. Then we'll end by talking about the enjoyment of it. First off, you can see this is a pretty big blade. And one reason I was willing to spend the money on this blade, specifically $195, yeah, that's a lot of money for me, is because it's hard to find an automatic knife that has a big blade that functions well. Apparently, Robbie Dalton cracked the code on it because this one deploys with authority, at least for a big blade like this. And it comes out very authoritatively, locking into position. That's cool. I think it's more than cool, actually, is that it's intimidating. It makes a nice schwack when it locks into position. And ideally, if we ever had to use our knife defensively, maybe that would be enough to make the bad guy just think twice and book it. Preferred by me. The blade here, and I'm going to use my Steigerwalt as a pointer today. The blade is a 4-inch ATS-34 spear-pointed blade. Now, you've heard me make some references on the spear points. I'm not a huge fan for spear points for EDC carry. However, for defensive use, I like them just fine, especially when they have adequate belly like this Robbie Dalton Militia Recon does. There is enough belly there that it is going to function quite well in both the slash cutting, also piercing cuts should we have to do them. That's a false edge up there. It looks sharpened, doesn't it? But it is not. Nor can it be really, because it is exposed in handle and you just slice yourself to smithereens should you decide to sharpen that. In a way, I kind of wish he would have extended the handle or maybe recessed it a little bit deeper, kind of like that Applegate Fairbairn that I reviewed, how I sharpened that false edge there and it's concealed in the handle. That's pretty cool, because when that comes out, it's no kidding double-ended or double-edged blade that can pierce cut and slash cut in both directions. I like that. So nice blade, nice finish on the blade. It's a bead blasted stainless steel. Some guys think ATS-34 is a very dated steel. I like it just fine. The few knives that I've used, a fair amount, have served me just fine. I mean, they sharpen readily. They hold their edge pretty good. I do prefer 154 cm over ATS-34, but that's just me. Look to some other users that know a lot more about steels than I do for the bottom line on that. Little quirk here on the grind on this one. It seems like it's just a little bit asymmetrically ground. If you look at this one, ground a little bit more on the left side as we flip it over, a little bit less. Also, the finishing on my Robbie Dalton Militia Recon, it seems like it has a little bit of a shadow on the right-hand side. And on this side, none at all. Not too big of a deal, and actually, these are, in my opinion, are kind of like semi-custom knives since they're so limited in production. So I just sucked it up and kept it. How's the lockup on this one? Pretty good. However, there is a slight amount of movement left to right in the Militia Recon. I am kind of disappointed in seeing that, seeing as how it is such an expensive knife. It should lock up like a bank vault. But several of these automatic knives, Piranha comes to mind. When they have an encased design and there's no pivot screws showing, they do have that problem. I have played around with that, by the way, seeing if I could tighten it up, and it didn't really help. But it is minor. I mean, we're talking like minute, but I'm pretty anal when I get to this price range. I want perfection, generally speaking. But I just sucked that up as well. How's the handle? It's big, and I like that. The handle itself can serve like a Kubaton if you reverse it. Remember, I always talk about that. You don't go that way because it doesn't match your thumb. If you do want to use this as a non-lethal, maybe lethal depending how you utilize it, impact device, we'd rotate it like that to fit the curvature of our thumb. Right there, bam. If you smack someone in the thigh, forget anywhere else, you just hit someone in the thigh as hard as you can right there, dude, that guy's going down. He is going to have an unpleasant day. Forget using even the blade. I mean, we're talking a non-lethal encounter, and then you can escape and book it. If you're a police officer, you can cuff him, take him to jail then. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I took the guy down with my Robbie Dalton Militia Recon Limited. Dude, cool. Yeah, let me show you how I did it. Did this. That'd be pretty cool. Probably get sued. Heaven forbid. Anyways, back to the handle. A lot of real estate there for using it in that alternative way. Also, when the knife is out, sure enough, we got lots of real estate there, both for forward grip. We can go to a reverse grip like that. Plenty of room. I'm liking more and more bigger handles. I didn't used to be that way. I kind of liked a 1-to-1 ratio, but now I'm kind of liking the bigger handles. This is purely cosmetic chevrons here. They don't do anything to add to the traction of the handle. However, because he used a matte finish on that olive drab, which by the way is a nice color. I like the color that Dalton used on this blade. It gives good traction pretty much, even though we don't have any checkering or any serrations on the top and bottom. For you guys talking about pierce cutting, or that's concerned to you guys, they don't have a flare up here, so you'd really have to hang onto this handle pretty hard so you don't come forward on a really aggressive stab attack, so to speak. The clip on it is, at least it's mounted on the right side. I like that. I'm always a tip up carry fan, as you've seen in many of my videos. And it's about as high on the handle as he can make it. And without going to that proprietary SOG design, where it's the bent over clip design that really makes that ride deep in the pocket, that's probably about as good as we're going to get. You're still going to have a few, maybe, I don't know, almost an inch exposed here out of the pocket, but not too bad. I like the clip. It's bead blasted, gray, very matte, and very strong. That is a strong clip that he put on there. Holds well in the pocket should you ever decide to carry this knife. Sometimes I'll level a criticism against some automatic knives, and I have to do it here too. We're talking again on the performance side of the equation, and that is an automatic knife. In the heat of the battle, it may be easy to confuse the pivot screw with the actuation button, and lo and behold, that is the case here again with the Dalton Militia Recon as well. Now, he did a good job of recessing it in the handle, so at least there was an attempt to make sure, or at least try to minimize the confusion there, which is nice. However, this is still raised. I would like to see that pivot screw in future models of Dalton be totally flush mounted. That way, the only thing you feel as you come across here is the raised actuation button there. Thankfully, no safeties. Glad to see that. Seriously, I mean, we shouldn't have any safeties on auto knives. And I think his thinking was there, hey, I recessed the button. The chances of you actuating this in your pocket are pretty much slim to none. So, what's the weight like? 5 ounces. And that is a pretty lightweight, if you ask me, for a 4-ounce automatic knife. Again, I don't mind going over my arbitrary 4 ounces when I get something in return. And when I go to a 4-inch automatic blade, I'm getting something in return. I'm getting a 100% one-handed actuation, a deadly blade should I need it, and 4 inches is enough reach for a pocket-type tactical folder. Decent, love it. Now, that being said, and I do love this knife as far as its performance features. Granted, I had just a few quirks that I mentioned, but none of them are major. They're all very minor in my book. But I think automatic knives, generally speaking, are overrated. That's because today's manual action knives are just so excellent. Witness the Spyderco Military. This also has a very large handle. It comes out very quickly, one-handed deployment, and it can function in all the ways that I just said about the Dalton Militia as well. Maybe a little bit of a delicate tip here, but overall it's going to slash cut, pierce cut very well. I really like that G10 handle. That would be an alternative weighing exactly the same weight as a Dalton Militia for a lot less cost. How about the Benchmade Deja Vu? And I'm just showing you some alternatives to an auto knife that I think are just as viable. There are some quirks on the Deja Vu. Look at my review video on that knife. But it's still an excellent knife. It's very fast, comfortable in hand, can function like as an impact device, just like I showed you earlier. And basically the same blade length as well, just shy of the length of the Dalton. Decent knife. Very fast though. Then finally I'll bring in the Spyderco Police G10. I showed you this in its own review video, and I absolutely love it. Full flat ground, wicked knife. Look at the length. It actually has just a little bit more length than the Dalton Militia, and it's going to be a really nice backup fighting knife should you need it. And it's got that Checker G10, really thin handle, weighs just like 0.2 ounces more than the Dalton Militia, but still very viable option to this very expensive automatic knife. So automatic knives for you guys that really want one. Don't be enamored thinking, oh man, I just need an auto knife to make sure I have the most capable blade out there. Now that's performance. I think, like I just showed you, some manual action knives are outstanding and they'll function just fine. Now if we get to the other side of the equation, enjoyment, that's different. If you want an automatic knife just because you like the coolness of it, dude, I don't blame you a bit. That's something different, and I'm right there with you. And indeed, the Dalton Militia is cool. Very cool knife. And there's few like it. In fact, you're not going to go to a store and find a Militia Recon. You just won't. And over the years, they're just going to increase in value. As witnessed by, and this is from Pioneer Valley Knife and Tool, or pvk.com. I'm going to go to Josh's Dalton's webpage here. Sorry. Come on, screen, come alive. And Josh at PVK actually lists all the Dalton knives. And a lot of the information I got is from Josh. Thank you, Josh at pvk.com. And if you go down here, you can see, oh, there's a Dalton Battle Dragon. By the way, I have that knife. Now it's selling for $10,000, $9,999. Actually, that's his arbitrary price, just showing you that, hey, that knife is gone. And if you failed to get it when you could, the price is going to be extremely high, and that's if you can find it. Here's a Dalton Dragon. Oh, that's a cool knife. I almost got that knife. I wish I had. I didn't. I regret it now. But anyways, he shows all the knives that Dalton has come out with. Some of them are currently available as of the recording of this video. This Militia Recon, I always get those backwards. The knife I'm showing you is still available if you wanted it. $195 is expensive. I'm not going to kid you. Let me clip back here into the tripod. Sorry about that. However, if you're a discriminating knife collector and tactical user, I think it would be a good addition to your inventory for the reasons I've talked about. Very capable tactical automatic knife, this Militia Recon, as I've shown. I have no doubt that if that was to come out in a fight, the guy that you're putting it against would not like it. I wouldn't. Good looking knife too. Very collectible. That's my review. Thanks for tuning in. That's a Dalton Militia Recon Limited. See ya. Nothing fancy.